Welcome back to this little tutorial series. This is a walkthrough of the 2019.1 version improvements and changes in the Jevero pattern engineering tool. So in this video it will probably I'll probably split it in 2 or 3 parts. We'll see the improvements that we have made inside the grading infrastructure. So there are some major things that changed. Most of the visualization things have changed. It's smoother. We had a lot of bug fixing, and we feel now it's better, and in the next versions it will be improved again. So the first thing that I wanted to point out is that it is now possible to change the sample size without grading. What does this mean? So I have my simple model. This is something that is very, very simple and trivial. Just to give you an idea, I will pick my UK size grading. I have my increments. Really, we're not looking at being very, very precise. So I'll say 6 to 10, and I keep the sample size as 8. Measurements, yeah, okay, I have these. So it is now possible again to change the sample size without grading. So before, if we right click on this column, we could set a sample size. So I'll go over the smallest one. You saw that this has shrinked a little bit because now the measurements are of this size here. So it's a 6, and the length and the width are these measurements. Before it was 8, which is 20 millimeters more roughly. So I'll show it again to the biggest size that I have available. If you look at the model, it will become bigger because this is the new sample size. So it has become 500 millimeters. Let's go back to 8, and it is now possible to change the sample size by keeping the sample size measurements here. So I want the 8.5 to be 483 and 274 respectively for length and width. So I'll right click on the 8.5 and say set a sample size without grading. You should look closely here. All the numbers will change because we will reset the measurements. Look. Do you want to change the model the model measurements? Yes. Now you see that this is the 8 and this is the 8 width. Okay, look closely here. All the numbers have changed, and the 8.5 is now the same size as the 8, but it's 8.5. So this is the first feature that we added. Something else that was added in the new version for the grading, regarding the grading, is that grading centers are now treated as Rhino Points. This means that you can grab them, move them around, delete them, and when you grade, whenever you grade, you will be able to move the point around, much like the stacking. Move it around and the model will move along. So I'll take it far to show you that here it will move. These are 100% Rhino Points, so you can treat them as that. Before it was something that was slightly outside of the Rhino semantics, let's say. So now they're treated that way. Speaking about grade centers, we are able to grade like a margin for grade centers. So I have prepared my tongue here, and when I create the grading center, let's create a new one. and say, this button here, set grade like margin. It means that I want this grid center to grade and never increase the distance between the square here, the logo space, and the center. So I'll delete because I've done the same thing with the GC1 up there. And I have assigned this line and put it into my tongue just to show you that when you grade, I'll just use more. You have all these points that grade and keep the distance fixed along the model. So let's take a look. 21. Let's try this. And it's 21. So it will grade in the same way.